Very good evening to all of you. Today we're going to spend a few minutes, probably half an hour, talking about automation and how it can improve our business processes. So uh, today's session is going to be something like this. We're going to have some introduction about what is Etna, who are we, how can we help you in all areas of IT, and also some housekeeping rules as to you could use chat boxes to raise your questions. You could also There is also a Q&A session at the end where you could raise all your questions. And also the timing is about the whole presentation is going to take about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on number of questions. And then the topic of the day is going to be business improvements through automation. So we are a preferred digital transformation partner. We started off as an ERP company 15 years ago, and mainly focusing on the ERP, CRM, and SEM based on Microsoft offerings. We successfully also branched out into analytics and automation using MSBI as well as other automation tools of Power Platform as well as Automation Anywhere and UiPath. And we also have a custom development division where we develop point solutions based on .NET technologies as well as mobile technologies as Android and iOS. And we are present in multiple geographies, and we have totally about 100 plus successful implementations across the industries. Uh, and we are also into basically our way of implementation is by consulting to say and backed up by best practices followed up through epics ddmrp and lean value. And with respect to analytics, basically I would like to delve a little deeper into analytics as to what we are offering. The basically we help companies implement data warehouses, and then and it could be, and also data warehouses can be on one premise or Azure. So we've successfully led companies into implementing analytics either based on Microsoft based ERPs or CRMs, or on other ERPs as well, right? So, and we are also a Microsoft Gold certified cloud partner, which means that you could reach out to us for all kinds of your cloud requirements. As either you want to shift your applications to cloud, or you want to move your company there totally into cloud. So for all kinds of cloud necessities, you could reach out to us. So coming to the topic of the day, which is RPA. So who is this webinar for? So this is basically for anyone who wants to understand what is RPA, what are its capabilities, and how you could leverage RPA in your businesses. And what are we going to cover? We are going to cover what is RPA and what are the case studies, a couple of case studies, probably one from Microsoft and one from our own experience of having implemented it. And we will also follow it up with a demo, which is basically in the areas of finance, and we'll follow it up with a question and answer. So, what's an RPA? So, any business process is an ideal candidate for RPA when it can be automated, and it's also repetitive in nature, and it's very very well defined in terms of rules, where there is no human intervention needed to basically complete the process. That is when a process is ideal for RPA. And also, by implementing RPA, what we get is we get more accuracy, more precision, because as you know, systems never tire out, right? So, which means that you are looking at after implementing an RPA, you are actually looking at a robot FTE who works for at least 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 52 weeks per year. And this is after a research published by Gartner. And they've also observed over a period of time that one bot can displace about 30 times the work of a human FTE. So what does that mean? Is it that we're going to cut down on people? No. Basically, this now frees up that is, our people for better tasks where more intelligence is involved and where there's a lot of decision making is involved. So, and also the moment the RPA is implemented, the processes get streamlined, which also means that the deviation that happens due to human element being involved is no longer there. And also, this gives us an opportunity to start the implementation of new ideas that require innovative thinking. So basically, people are freed up for doing better tasks and leaving out the well-defined oil tasks to the RPA. So this is basically the RPA quadrant looks like. Basically, the players who are there, you can actually see that in the leaders along with UiPath and Automation Anywhere. Microsoft is also available with Blue Prism. So basically, the leaders spectrum is totally occupied by the four leaders in the market. And for those of you who have been following Microsoft, you would know that Microsoft has been, though they started a little later in the race, they have been completely releasing feature after feature and improvements in the RPA sector in terms of their Power Platform. Uh, and they have really grown in the last 2 years. So now coming to the case study. So the first case study that we're going to take today is the one that is implemented in Microsoft for Coca-Cola. So this is a typical case where there is basically a self-service dispenser given by Coca-Cola for all kinds of beverages. So here, before the implementation of RPA, this is how the process looked like. There is a CRM agent who picks up an order. They track the order in the Excel, and then they create a purchase order for it. And later on, it is manually entered in the supplier website. And after that, they wait for the delivery by tracking the email. In the sense, manually they check the email for delivery and also for invoices. After they get the invoice, it's all printed out. They carry it to the AP department by hand, and then over there it is scanned, and then the invoice and the purchase orders are released. Now, this when Microsoft took up the automation of this is how they transformed the process. Then the technology used here, the backend is the ERP, the backend ERP that's used here is SAP, and the technology that is used here is a Microsoft Robo, that is RPA, that is the Power Automate, and the additional other Power Platform components along with Azure capabilities. Now, what happens is right now, after the implementation of RPA, the agent enters an order into the SAP CRM system, and then they use Azure Data Factory to move the order into Azure SQL. Thereon, the bot takes over. So the Power Automate bot automatically creates the order in the SAP system. It also submits the order in the supplier website, which means that it is also able to interface to an external website, and constantly it monitors the email for any invoices coming in, and then from the invoice it takes up the OCR capability using the AI builder that is listed here, and then it extracts the characters out and then automatically enters the invoices and creates the invoices in the AP system, and thereafter the AP system takes over. So you can actually see that the technologies that are being used here are AI builder, that is basically the artificial intelligence builder, which is used for OCR extraction, as well as the Power Automate, which is used for which is our RPA bot. Now, after having done it, after having achieved it, this is what is the impression of the manager. We avoided having to hire 10 full-time employees. Better still, the existing CRM agent is now free to work on other projects, right? So while this was a Microsoft case study, we are going to share with you something that we have done for one of our customers. So typically this is for this use case that we are discussing today is for a company that's involved in the manufacturing of a premium textile carpets. Basically, they are in the textile industry, and so this we're just going to describe the life of a production supervisor in the factory. So this particular client of ours has got about 7 to 8 has got this particular production process has got about 7 to 8 production routing steps, and with the inspection built in each one of them. And also the material, the person, and the machine involved are all different. Now, on a typical day, the planner plans a production order based on the sales order commitment, material, and the machine availability in the ERP. He releases the production order. The production order is printed. So when the process was given to us, before the process was given to us for automation, this is how the process looked like. So the production order is printed, and the printed production order is given to the factory. Now, the production supervisor in the factory receives all the production orders. Now, he has to schedule it for production the next day, depending upon the availability. Now, the next day, the production supervisor schedules the production order on the machine. Now, after the shift is over, there are usually, as in all companies, there are manual logging sheets where the input, output, wastages, as well as the machine breakdown timings, electrical breakdown timings like electrical, mechanical, all of them are tracked. They're all entered in the logging sheet. And then at the end of the shift, someone sits after the shift and then enters all of them into the ERP. Now, this is what typically happens over here. So while this is a Microsoft ERP, you could take any factory, it could be any ERP. This is typically what happens in a day in a factory. Now, if you look at it, until the time the data is entered in ERP, the status of production is not visible outside of that factory. Supposing someone is sitting in the corporate office and they would like to know what happened to the particular production order, or where is it stuck, or where is it available, what stage is it over. There is absolutely no visibility for it until the data is entered into the ERP, number one, which actually means a delay of 8 hours, right, until the shift is over. And if there's a shortage of people, then there is additional delay number. And also what happens is that because there are a lot of papers involved, for example, if there are 8 different processes with 10 machines in each, we are talking about something like 80 machines and 80 logging sheets per shift, and also as many production orders that we are processing. All of them are paper based, right? And people are entering the data, which actually means that there could be mistakes while entering data, there could be delay in entering data, and it is all a manual and a time consuming process. So now, when we sat down to discuss as to what can be done and how can we derive a solution for this, what we identified is, as we said in the beginning, the criteria of identifying a process for automation is whether it is rule based and whether it is well defined, right? So, and also, are these processes repetitive in nature? Is there any element of human intelligence involved, in the sense, is there any human discretion needs to be pronounced on a day-to-day basis, which cannot be translated into rules? That's another criteria that we have employed. And also, by automating this process, are we going to have any kind of a cost benefit? Because there is going to be a cost involved in automation. So the benefit has to be realized. The tangible benefits have to be realized in terms of releasing the personas, and also the intangibles have to be realized in terms of improving the accuracy as well as reducing the mistakes, and also improving so the one of the most important intangible is the mission, people shortages, as well as the fatigue that comes up because of people's involvement day in and day out. That's one of the absolute intangible that you can realize. So we looked at the processes to see which are the ones that are leading to it. And the third criteria that we employed is, okay, are any processes, sub processes and processes that are involved in this, do they need any kind of an approval, in the sense that are they good enough to be totally automated, or do you need to build in some approval steps here in terms of either, okay, possibly once the production orders are released, possibly the production manager looks at it, or production supervisor looks at it, or when the logging sheet is entered, maybe before actually submitting into ERP, it goes and sits in the system and then he approves it, at least for the exceptional cases, right? So these are some of the criteria that we looked at to see, okay, what sub processes in the whole of this manufacturing processes lend itself to automation. So what we identified is, one is, there is a lot of times the production order number is entered. So which means that if we are able to provide a way in which we are able to QR code or barcode the production order number, and then thereafter people just scan the QR code and then automatically the production order gets picked up. So that is one small sub process that we took up for automation. Another process that we took up for automation is, okay, do we still have to hand print the production order and give it to the person, or is there a way that we can manually or automatically send it to the app for so that the production supervisor is able to have a visibility into what orders are released for him for production as and when it is released. So we saw that there is a possibility over there. And also, the many times what happens is, when you're trying to see, okay, how much time did this particular that did this particular FG take to produce, you are actually tracking the time, right? And the time is a very important factor in the manufacturing sector. So many times in the logging sheets, the time is actually entered by by the person, and probably they started the. There is always a possibility that due to some reasons they started the process 15 minutes late, but then. They could probably miss out on noting those timings, right? So in which case we said, okay, probably there's an opportunity for us to make it more accurate. And also, as I said, if there are 8 processors and 10 machines and there are about 80 systems, and we are looking at 80 different sheets of paper in every shift, if there are 3 shifts, 240 sheets of paper in a factory. And you can just extrapolate it to a number of factories and stuff like that. Now, is there a way that we can automate this? So that was one another process that we identified. And finally, posting into the ERP is another process that we identified. So after we implemented it, the way the process now looked is the production planner still schedules, basically he does this part of the work. He schedules the production order in ERP. Now from the ERP, when the production order is printed, a QR code is embedded in it, which means that even if a printout is taken, people don't have to enter the 10-digit QR production order number, which is error prone. Instead, they could just scan it using a mobile application. And in addition to that, the production order is also automatically delivered into a handheld device, which is with the production supervisor. So wherever they are, wherever the scheduling happens, it can actually, they no longer need to depend on a printed production order. As and when the production order is released, production supervisor gets the visibility of what is in store for them for the next day or the coming days. Now, the production order, production supervisor, wherever he is, because this is a mobile device, and he could actually schedule the jobs on the mission with the people involved, with the material involved, sitting in the comfort of his home and at any time of the day. And also, and if the and we also if the machines are all fitted with PLC or SCADA or IoT aggregators, then it is possible to kind of gather the statistics in terms of what time was it started, what time was it ended, when did the production start, when did it end, what is the output, what is the wastage, and if there are any if there are any breakages in the system, we could also capture the HC code in terms of what type of breakage is it and what is the downtime. All of them, and if there's a job change timing involved, all of them can be now automatically captured. And now, if you want to build an approval process here, we could do that and then directly push them into the ERP. Now, what happens is, as and when a job is finished, you can see that there is no need for an intervention of a production assistant over there. Automatically the data gets into the ERP, right? So what did we achieve out of this? Now we now have a live monitoring. We now know where when the as per the schedule, whether the particular production order is done or not done, what status is it in. And this can be done 24/7, sitting anywhere. You could be in any continent and you could be doing it. For the people, let's say, for the people who are on the go, and for people whose factories are all totally geographically distributed, it is such a boon. And also, we do have logging sheet, but the logging sheet is now on the system, and no longer you have a paper logging sheet. So and now that you have total machine statistics, you could do analysis of the machine breakdown with Power BI. You could say, okay, this could also mean that you could now say, okay, this particular system has had multiple breakdowns in the past 1 month or in the past 3 months. So this is likely to have, you could do a prediction on when is it likely to break down next. All kinds of this, basically this, the data when it is available along with the Azure Power BI capability lends itself to absolute business improvements in this area, because we could predict the downtime of the machine, we could predict the non-availability of people, right? So that it lends itself for better planning. And finally, you could also calculate OEE, that is overall equipment effectiveness, because you have machine data, you also have the production data in terms of the quality, and you also have the availability, right? So all of these are a possibility. So what did we do? We improved our communication by making the production order QR code enabled, and also by transmitting the production order through Power Automate bot. into an app. And also, we totally automated logging sheets, so data entry is eliminated. So people, if you had previously 10 people, now you could go down with lesser number of people, and the people are now available to do more important tasks. And there's a real-time status visibility, status of data, as well as visibility into what's happening with each production order, what's happening with each mission, which is idle, which is not idle, how could we plan better. So which actually means, which is a very, very big input for the planner to improve his planning capabilities, right? So this was one of the case studies where we have implemented RPA. So now we are going to go over to a demo. If there are any questions, I can take them now on this, or I can also take them later. And we are now going to go over to a demo. Over to you, Kamesh, for a demo. So where we are going to show you the capabilities of using a OCR extraction with AI Builder, and also automatic posting into an ERP, which is, in this case, we are using Microsoft Dynamics, but it could very well be substituted by your own ERPs or any other homegrown systems. Over to you, Kamesh.
Thank you. I hope everybody is having a great day. So let me present my screen and let me know if it becomes visible. Okay, so I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, this recording is to show you how you can use Microsoft's Power Automate to automate your AP payments processing. In this particular scenario, as soon as we receive a invoice onto our mailbox, what we are going to do is create an automatic payment for the same. We will be using Microsoft Dynamics Nav as a backend. Let's go through it now. The entire process starts as soon as you receive a mail onto your inbox. Let's say this is a dummy mail, but let's assume a vendor has sent a mail onto your inbox with 3 separate invoices attached. As soon as this particular mail comes into your inbox, it gets diverted towards the flows, and what the flow will do is take up all these particular attachments and run through them. It will extract the information and it will process them sequentially. Let's assume it took the first one, and then it's going to send you an intimation on the flow stating, hey, would you like to approve it? Let's review it once. For example, if we go here, look up the first invoice that was sent to us. You can say it was for 6,001 and 20, and also the invoice number was 6345864. It looks good. So in first case, I would say, hey, it looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to approve the same. You click on approve and say, hey, approve the same, and followed by some date. You can put in any information as per you would like, but we can do the same. And I can just say submit here. So what will happen is the system will take this particular thing, divert it towards the flows. And if you see on the right hand side here, I have my remote system open for this demonstration purposes. If you see certain set of actions being carried out there, it's opening Dynamics Nav all by itself and it's processing the same. Let me make it a bit bigger. If you look at it, it went to payment journals all by itself. It starts filling up all the data that you have put up on your invoices. It pulls up the party name from that particular invoice using AI, puts everything up here. Let's go through it. It's filling everything up, even the money, whatever notes you have written there, so that it is just the same. Then it will also put up the money and then post it. The interesting thing about it is, once it's done the posting, it will also close Dynamics Nav on itself so that it doesn't consume any licenses. Now, once it's done with that, it will go into the teams again, go to the AP department, and here, if you come under the process invoices, you can see it has done an invoice processing for the same. It's just to intimate your AP department that, hey, this invoice has been processed. Now it comes to the second one. If you see the flow here, go to chat, come down here. In this scenario, I say, hey, there is something wrong with it. Maybe I wanted to go a manual route. I say manual entries to be done. Please check on. Once you select this, click on submit here. What will happen is the system will take this particular thing, then again reroute to the proper channel inside your teams. Say in this case, to your AP department, manual entries division. They look on it and they'll be like, okay, this came from manual processing. They can have their own set of actions. So once we know what flows needs to be designed, we can do the same. We can divert it, redivert it. It's up to you. Now coming to the third, if you remember there were 3 invoices. So the third one, I say I don't like it. Maybe I'll reject it. And I will say rejecting because of some reason, and I can say the date here, say 1323. 1323. Sorry. Okay. Now clicking on submit here, what will happen is it will take this and reject the same. Again, the flows can be created as your business processes are. For example, if you say if rejection happens, I want this to happen. If approved happen, we want separate step of happen to happen there after that. If you say manual, these things should happen. So this can be completely customized and designed as per your needs. So coming at rejected invoices, you would see these rejected invoices come here as well. So this is it. This is an overall demonstration of how you can use RPA to automate your tasks. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.